Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, for those of you who've been geeking out on this channel for a while now, you know that we've already done a couple of videos about ATF's new proposed amnesty registration as it comes to firearms equipped with stabilizing braces. Now, we did this video right here where we talked about our concerns that this might be one of the biggest traps that was ever being set. We followed it up with this video right here where we really got into some of the details about how we think that trap is going to be set. And then, of course, a lot of you responded with questions about, well, how can I do this to avoid the trap? And so what we're going to do today is we're going to answer a couple of those questions. We're going to talk about one of the ways to avoid ATF's pistol brace amnesty registration trap. So today, let's spend a few minutes and talk about, will removing your pistol brace make any difference with the ATF? Okay, so what we are talking about today is how to avoid this huge hassle that a lot of lawful and responsible gun owners are going to have to go through when they elect to go through ATF's pistol brace amnesty registration period. Now, we've already talked and tried to connect the dots on, hey, when you take a look at what the likely amended Form 1 is going to look like, when you take a look at what the 4999 scoring criteria is, when you take a look at the fact that you're going to be asked to submit photos of your firearm, you can see how ATF could easily determine that this firearm does not qualify for amnesty registration, subjecting you to the choice of paying your $200 tax stamp or forfeiting the weapon. Now, what is our other options? If we have no other option but to have our firearm scrutinized in this fashion, is there something else we can do ahead of time to avoid this entire hassle to begin with? And I want to talk to you about a few things that you can do. We're going to give you several options. You're going to see that most of them are ridiculous. Most of you are going to be upset that I even suggest them. They are viable options. But we are going to talk about a couple that are at least somewhat plausible, okay? Now, what can you do if you currently have an AR pistol equipped with a stabilizing brace and you are worried that come sometime between December and April, you're going to need to try to apply for amnesty registration? Well, here's the things that you can do. Number one, you can destroy the weapon. Now, I'm not even going to get into the practicality of that, and I am in no way suggesting that you should destroy the weapon. This is a little different than the solvent traps and the FRT triggers, okay? But the ATF cannot hold you accountable for any weapon that you no longer possess or any weapon that is no longer functional, all right? You could just go ahead and surrender the weapon to the ATF. Now, I know that that's probably about as stupid as the first idea. These are plausible and viable solutions. Am I recommending you do these? No, I'm not. Am I suggesting you do these? Actually, no, I'm not, but I am explaining your options. Okay, a third option, of course, is you can just turn around and register the thing as an SBR, and hell, if you're going to do it that way, you might as well go ahead and fully equip it as if it is an SBR. Go through your Form 1, pay your tax stamp, get the blessings of the ATF, and congratulations, you are now the proud owner of an SBR. So that is another option. Now, I want to talk to you about two more options, and this is a little bit more viable. The first one is this. A AR pistol and a short barrel rifle have one common thing in their definition, which is that they have a barrel length of less than 16 inches. A short barrel rifle is a firearm which is designed to be fired from the shoulder using a rifle bore which has a barrel length of less than 16 inches. A pistol is defined as a firearm intended to be fired with one hand. Don't even get me started on that. We all know about proper handgun grip and all that, but this is the definition that I'm working with here, okay? It's designed to be fired with one hand with a barrel of less than 16 inches. The entire idea behind the stabilizing brace and the way that it was originally designed was to allow disabled veterans to still continue to shoot the AR platform one-handed for those that had become disabled. Now, obviously, there's been far advancements in technology, and many of these braces also serve very nicely as shoulder stocks. Well, one of the things that you can do is if you have an upper receiver, which has a barrel of less than 16 inches, you can remove that upper receiver and replace it with a receiver now that has a barrel of at least 16 inches. We are no longer dealing with AR pistols. We are no longer dealing with short barrel rifles. We have a barrel of 16 inches or more. Now, kind of defeats the purpose of having a pistol stabilizing brace on the rear. And if you're going to do that, you might as well go ahead and swap it out with a rifle stock on the rear. So that is something you can do. If we suddenly have a 16-inch barrel, or let us not forget, if we have a barrel which is almost 16 inches and then the muzzle device is permanently attached, pin welded, and there's some other ways in which it can be absolutely permanently attached, you can include the muzzle device in the measurement length. Most of us have detachable muzzle devices, so we do not get to include those in measuring barrel length. And then the last thing you could do, of course, is remove the pistol brace. Now, I trust ATF just about as much as the rest of you, and so I went back and I carefully reviewed the proposed rule on pistol stabilizing braces, and I want to share with you some of the language because I think the ATF makes it abundantly clear in their report and in their final rule that this criteria, this whole hassle over everything, is for firearms with attached pistol braces. Therefore, if the firearm no longer has an attached stabilizing or pistol brace, none of this applies, right? Take a look at what the ATF said here. Because short-barreled rifles are among the firearms considered unusual and dangerous, subjecting them to regulation under the NFA, it is especially important that such weapons be properly classified. Indeed, firearms with stabilizing braces have been used in at least 2 mass shootings, with the shooters in both instances reportedly shouldering the brace as a stock, demonstrating the efficacy as a short-barreled rifle or firearm equipped with such braces. Now, I want you to pay attention to what the purpose is of Rule 4999 in this whole rigmarole as it relates to stabilized braces, because what it comes down to is anything which suggests the firearm is to be fired from the shoulder is what's moving things from AR pistol into SBR, because the ATF specifically stated, the Gun Control Act and National Firearm Act regulate firearms and, with limited exceptions, do not regulate individual components. Accordingly, ATF does not classify unregulated components or accessories alone under the Gun Control Act and NFA. Unless, of course, we're talking about triggers, but I digress. Now, it goes on to say, however, components or accessories, when attached to a firearm, can affect the classification of a firearm because, 1, a component or accessory's likely use may be relevant in assessing the manufacturer or maker's purported intent with respect to design of a firearm, and 2, the design of a component or an accessory may result in a firearm falling within a particular statutory definition. And so what they're saying here is the attachment of a brace, while it could be used one-handed, can also be used to be shouldered, and that's where the inquiry is. If we have no brace on the firearm at all, how can it be shouldered, right? And in many ways, any firearm, theoretically, even one like this here with a buffer tube, could theoretically be shouldered. You could theoretically take a handgun with a 4.5-inch barrel and try to shoulder it. You would be horrible shooting and subjecting yourself to far more agony than you need to with a handgun, but it could be done. And the ATF makes it very clear that they are talking about firearms that are equipped with stabilizing braces. They went on to say, ATF's longstanding and publicly known position is that a firearm does not evade classification under the NFA merely because the firearm is configured with a device marketed as a stabilizing brace or arm brace. When a purported stabilizing brace and attached weapon's objective design features indicate that the firearm is actually designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder, such weapon may fall within the scope of the NFA, requiring registration and payment of tax. And yes, so it is a combination of the barrel length and the existence of a particular type of brace that can or cannot create the problem as ATF sees it. The absence of a brace takes the firearm completely out of consideration for firearms which are attached with stabilizing braces. Just listen to what the ATF said. Accordingly, ATF must evaluate on a case-by-case basis whether a particular firearm configured with a stabilizing brace bears the objective features of a firearm designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder and is thus subject to the NFA. The use of a purported stabilizing brace cannot be a tool to circumvent the NFA or Gun Control Act and the prohibition on the unregistered possession of short-barreled rifles. And so, yes, the use of a stabilizing brace cannot be used as an end around to the Gun Control Act. That's what the ATF is saying. However, if we don't have a stabilizing brace, we're not really attempting an end around anymore, are we? And so therefore, when you take a look at what ATF is actually recommending, which is an amendment to the Code of Federal Regulations, and they want to redefine the term rifle and short barrel rifle, this is what ATF is actually wants the rule to read here. Given the public interest surrounding these issues, ATF is proposing to amend the definition of rifle in 27 CFR 478.11 and 479.11, respectively, by adding a sentence at the end of each definition. The new sentence would clarify that the term rifle includes any weapon with a rifled barrel and equipped with an attached stabilizing brace that has an objective design features and characteristics that indicate that the firearm is designed to be fired from the shoulder as indicated on ATF worksheet 4999. So a firearm that does not have any kind of stabilizing brace by ATF's new expanded definitions of rifle cannot be deemed a short-barreled rifle. So the bottom line is yes, does removing the pistol brace remove the headache that you have from the ATF on this particular issue? Yes, it does. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to the functionality of the firearm? That's a decision that I leave for all of you. Listen, as we know, the rule is going to be republished in December. We'll have until April to figure out what the hell this all really means to us. And in the meantime, the more we learn, the more we will try to educate you. If you have any other questions in the meantime about this issue or anything else related to your Second Amendment rights, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.